Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's edition of Kingdom Dialogues, My Journey. And our focus, the discussion of this edition of Kingdom Dialogues, has been on the journey that our French team has had, how they wound up in Kenya, and the role that God played in bringing them into this nation, and what they say about their future and their destiny. Many of their stories are amazing stories that just capture a group of people on whom the hand of the Lord is upon. I believe it will encourage us, and I believe it's also a testament to God's prophetic word over this nation, that this nation will not just be a springboard, but this nation will also provide refuge to other nations. So welcome and join me today as we have this discussion. I just want to welcome to the set my guest for today, none other than Jean-Luc.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
Karibu.
Asante.
So, Jean-Luc, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Maybe you can tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you? A bit of your background.
Okay. My name is Jean-Luc Mafuka Azasito. You know, in Congo we have like 3 names.
Okay.
The first name is Jean-Luc, my family name is Mafuka, and my own name is Azasito.
Ooh, okay.
Azasito.
Yeah.
I am coming from a middle family from the western of Congo.
Okay.
Just a normal family, a Catholic.
Catholic, that's your background. Okay.
Yes, that's my background.
Yeah.
And basically, I have a degree in economics and a master's in rural economics.
Wow.
And the second master, I had it in Kenya in agricultural economics.
Okay.
I intend to pursue a PhD. I already applied for agricultural economics.
So you have two master's degrees?
Yes.
Surely with 2 master's degrees, you must have had a very good job, or you must have been doing a very good job in DRC.
Yes, not really, because Congo, having a degree and having a job are 2 different things.
Okay.
You can have a degree, but for you to get a good job, you need to have connection and exactly where you intend to work. I mean, unless you go to the private sector.
Okay.
There I can get a good job. And me, I wanted to work in public sector.
Oh.
And it was like the competition was so high. Because people over there, they don't want competition. People with a higher level of education to come to take over,
Yes.
Unless you go up.
Okay. So what were you doing in Congo before you came to Kenya?
Before coming in Kenya, I was a scientist in the agricultural sector.
Okay.
Let me say, like in a public organization like Carlo in Kenya.
Okay.
The same in Congo.
Okay.
I was a scientist. That's what I was doing. I was also like a coach, basketball coach.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I used to mentor youth, and I also have my own company, a small one. I used to do some consultancy work.
Okay, so you're not a musician.
I'm not a musician.
You don't play football, basketball.
I used to play football, but because I was told, people were telling me you should stay in basket.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever play for either the national team or?
Yes. In 2000 and let me say in 3, I was I think in high school.
Yes.
In the last year, something like that.
Yes.
I was selected in the national team to travel, but because I did not get my national certificate, my father, they refused completely, and I was supposed to travel to go to US because I was selected. I was among the 2 best players in Congo in that time. Yeah.
Wow. So you never really went to the US from
No.
there? Okay.
No.
Did you pursue basketball after that?
Yes, after that, because my parents, they killed that dream.
Okay.
Because there was like education or nothing. So they killed that dream. So I did not have that passion again to pursue that dream. So I was like, okay, let me just follow the person who was supposed to, to support me.
Okay. I know I've been told that your father is a senior lecturer, professor in one of the universities.
Yes.
So he must have really felt education is it.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. How did you find your way to Kenya?
Basically, I was not supposed to come in Kenya. For myself, I choose to go in South Africa because there I have a girlfriend who was waiting for me over there. She told me, just come over here. It's quite among the developed countries in Africa. So you can make your way. I know what you can do, what you are able. And then I went to tell my dad. Then he refused because of xenophobia. He was telling me, Jean-Luc, I know you. I know the way you don't like people, you know, jokes and all those. I know you can fight anytime, so I don't want you to be killed. I find myself coming here. I came for an holiday. That was holiday.
It was holiday.
Holiday.
Were you in church at that time?
No. You know, it's so amazing when I hear some people saying that the prophet and the vision. I was like, wow, that's not me.
That's not you.
That's not me. So I came here for an holiday, and then I find the country. It was an holiday for me, so I have to visit the country. I walk around Nairobi and all those. Then I find myself, it was a good country, at least more advanced than our country, and I went to check some university. Then I find myself, you know, the ranking. You know, I went, you know, at least they're in good position, so I can make my way to Kenya. I went back. I spoke to him. In fact, it like he had planned everything. Then he told me, okay, you are going to Kenya to study. I'm taking care of half of your expenses, and the other one, you're taking care of yourself. I said, that's a good deal, because in South Africa, I was supposed to go by myself.
Okay.
I told him, okay, I have some job. I can come here and study. That's why I find myself here.
Okay.
To come and study.
So how are you taking care of half your expenses? I mean, I know your father is there, is working, but are you still working for the company that sent you here?
You know, after 1 year, I received an email. Told me that I need to send a report, and all those people are looking for a job and you want to study.
Okay.
Those kind of things.
Yeah.
So they told me I need to, you know, when I spoke with my father, he was telling me that you are a man, you can make your way. So you just stay there, and what I'm providing you, you just find a way to stay.
Okay.
So, and then he gave me, like, he had some apartments. So I was supposed to stay in one of these apartments. I told me you can put somebody to rent there, so the money that will come in, it will be yours, so that you can cover some of your expenses. I know it's not much, but you are a man. You can find your way. That's why I'm still here.
Okay, nice. So how did you find your way to church? I know I had an amazing story from Pastor Christian about where he met you. Maybe you can tell us a bit about that.
Wow. Christian, you know, we are in the same university in Congo, University of Kinshasa in Congo. And he was like 2 years ahead of me, because he was doing law and me, I was in economics. Basically, I started with engineering. It did not work because I was so,
Okay.
You know. And he was like kind of those people who like churching, and they used to go and pray the campus for Christ. And praying, me, I was not there, not at all. So when I came to Kenya, we met, there were Congolese meetings somewhere in a certain area. So we went there, we met. So I said, I know you, I know you were in campus, yes. We remember each other. So I knew that he was already a pastor, so you're a man of God. Me, I was like, okay, him is a pastor, we know each other. But because we are coming from the same backgrounds, almost the same university, and the same area, which is Kinshasa, we will be able to understand each other easily.
Okay.
I say, at least I find someone I can interact with, you understand me. And then him, he was the kind of person who was like, you are in a bar, he does not take alcohol. You know, you invite him, he does not take alcohol. He does not have, you know, those outing at night. You can't call him, you know, those kind of things. So I was like, okay, which kind of man? And he was very consistent. So until one day, and when I got some problem in work, so I needed some support, I was not really in peace, because my dad called me. He told me I have poison, and my mom-in-law, the second wife of my father, left him. So I was like, he has affected me. Okay. That thing, you know, I was saying, okay, what will happen to me? And in that moment, I was trying to get serious with my life, because my life was just like doing nothing special. And I told myself, I don't have somebody like a model for me, a Congolese model here in Kenya. So I said, okay, I have a friend of mine, a pastor. So I saw in him a sort of a gift or a grace upon his life. I told myself, this man must have picked that grace from somewhere in Kenya, because if it was in Congo, he would have stayed in Congo. So let me find out where is he praying and all those. Then I found my way here in Kima. And the first day I came here, he was not here. Okay. I found like Evlod, Carl, and all those. They were praying. I told myself, those could be younger than me. Me, I don't know how to pray. I don't know God. But one thing I know principles. You need to stay somewhere to learn. And you know, if you need to get someone grace, you need to stay close to him. I decided to come in Ekima to stay. And the first day I came, I found peace. The first thing, I was looking for peace. Whatever I was outside of Ekima, I was not in peace. For a long period of time. Anytime, that's why I used to come every day in church. Every day after school, I have to come to church because I was looking for that peace.
Yeah, I think I remember that time. You were here almost for the evening meeting.
Yes, okay. Almost every day because I was not in peace. Anytime I was outside the Ekima, I was not in peace. So I need to go and find my peace there. That's why I'm here, then I stay.
Okay. And you've taken one of our girls, one of the French girls. What happened to the girlfriend from South Africa?
For South Africa, it's happened just like that. When I get born again, I told her, you know, you are in distance, it will not work.
Okay.
I think you should find your way, even me, I should find my way.
Okay.
And in that moment, I have so many girlfriends, even in Congo, all over.
So you had to talk to all of them?
Yes, almost all of them. Okay. If I can get you, I'll tell you the truth. So I want a serious relationship. Now I'm not, you know, that Jean-Luc you know. So I want to know God. So there is those things I need to live. So I need really to understand, to know God, because I had a girlfriend in Congo who gave me a Bible. And the first person to prophesy about my life was my elder brother.
Oh.
When he came from India. He was telling, in 2000, I think in 2010 or 12, he was telling me, you will be a man of God. They're telling me, you are a big joker. Me?
Yes.
You are a big joker. So, and I had a girlfriend who gave me a Bible. That Bible was like a statue in my house. So I was not touching that Bible. It's only when I came in Kenya, then I realized that I have a Bible.
Wow.
Somewhere in my, you know, in my language, I have to find a Bible. That's it. And in Congo, I was not praying. Not at all. I was just a normal Catholic who go to church, you know, normal services and all those. It's only, I really wanted to get that grace I saw in Christian, Pastor Christian. I needed that grace. And when I found my way in Ekima, I found that peace.
Wow, nice, nice. So what's next? This is where you are. You're now the man of God that your brother prophesied about. What happens next? Where do you see yourself going over the coming years?
Yes, in long run, I think I need to go back in Congo because there is so much thing to do there.
Okay.
Especially I've left so much of my friends who are not born again. I think that they need a model, and I be the right one, because the way we used to be, there's a certain change. In the next 10 years, what I asked my God, I told him I need to have like international experiences for 10 years. Not starting from now, when I'll be like to get a contract.
Okay.
When they'll be get the revenue and all those for 10 years. And then I can go back after 10 years. For now, in the short run, in the next 3 years, I want like to learn to know God better. You know, knowing God. When I say knowing God, knowing all the mystery. You know, one thing made me stay in Ekima. It was like, as long as I don't understand something, I will stay. There is so many mystery I want to learn. And while, you know, I cannot learn if I'm moving from one place to another place. So I need to stay in one place to learn. And in the next 3 years, what I want really like to build myself as a good person, as a man of God. I need to build myself like and to get, of course, a PhD degree, to get a job, of course, a good job after the next 3 years. So that's why I'm still here. And after 3 years, I will see what will happen. But I want an international experience.
I thought you'd mentioned marriage somewhere there.
Yes, over there. Yes, I wanted to say the next 3 years.
Yes.
Of course, in the next year, I'm going to get married for sure. So I'm like, I have to finish everything. Although my father told me to wait for him.
Okay.
The only condition, I'm waiting for him to tell me something. But the next year, I think I'm getting married.
How is he doing, by the way? You told me that he was not well. He had taken poison. How is he doing now?
Now he's doing quite okay. But you know, when they give you poison, your body is not that strong. He has like 73 years old. So he's not that strong.
Okay.
The way he used to be.
I know you're also working as, I think, the deputy chairperson or the deputy director or something of the Congolese community in Kenya. Maybe you can talk a bit about that.
Yes, we had a community here which is organized like an association gathering all Congolese in Kenya, called Congolese Diaspora in Kenya. We had election it was like 3 years ago, and the former president went in Congo and became an MP. And some other people, they left. They traveled, those other one left. So we needed a new election. We needed to organize a sort of a transition. During that period, even me, I was not supposed to be there. Me, I was just coming to, to make things work for our community. And then one day during a meeting, they proposed me. I said, no, I don't want to be there. Even Pastor Kisa said, you should go and sit up. You need you there. We know your capacity. You know you can work for the community. So that's why I find myself there. So we are just organizing election for the next committee. Of course, the people, they tell me I should stay in the same position to organize, the community. As you are entering East African community, there is so many opportunities that our community need to benefit, especially those who are in Kenya. Because most of the people, they came here as a refugee, they flee war, they look for better life. But there is also a part of our Congolese government responsibility over them. So they need to learn and to understand what they can do, and also what we can do as a Congolese in a foreign land. That's why I'm there.
Okay. How has it been? Especially, we associated Congo with not just music, but, is it Dombolo, and Papa Wemba, all these singers. So we've always known, anytime you think of a Congolese, you're thinking of life, you're thinking of party. And here you are as a Christian, and I'm sure many of the people in the Congolese diaspora community are not Christians. How has that been, working with them?
I think it's one of the challenges we are having, actually. And one of the reasons I'm there is to make people to understand that we need to get back to Jesus. We are a blessed country, but we are also one of the countries when spirituality is very high. We need to understand that. And I even had that problem in campus. One day I went to see one of our lecturers. I told him, I'm having the problem because when I came here, I was supposed to learn English at least for 1 year, but I was so stubborn. I told myself I have already a master's, so let me go to class. When things was not working, I went to see that lecturer. He telling me, look for a Kenyan girl, you know how to sing Dombola and to dance, you enjoy yourself. And one of the things in our community, that thing of spirituality, it's so high. Even as we came in Kenya. So it's really a challenge. Even as a man of God, there is some who are not really in that thing of Christians. They went there, they just touch here, those spiritual things in order just to make themselves known and all those. And I think that's a challenge of us men of God. We are going to see the way we are going to face this, and to address those challenges of Congolese community being so much into this thing of music and all those, because we know most of the people involved in that industry, they have to do many sacrifices, especially human sacrifice. And we know that even our parents, maybe our grandparents, they do a lot of sacrifice in that. That's why our music is so high. So as a man of God, our responsibility will be to make people aware for us and for the next generation. And if we are not if there is no man of God in that position, we won't be able really to address that challenge. That's my best concern. We need to teach people, see, where we are coming from is this. I know that us, we have that gift of music, but you should be careful because music asks for a lot of sacrifice. Human sacrifice, let me say it clear. Human sacrifice, you should be clear. So we need to put a break for the next generation to be free and to do that music free of all those things our elder did.
I find a lot of people from Congo coming here to Kenya. One, I know that the language is different. In Kenya, I think we speak a lot of English, Kiswahili. Congo, maybe the Eastern Congo, a lot of Kiswahili.
Yes.
But the Kinshasa and that region, I know it's a lot of French.
Yeah.
Why do you find a lot of Congolese coming to Kenya? What your understanding?
You know, Congo, we are looking for a second country, you know, all of us, because when there is issue, they are looking for a better life, all of them. Especially in the eastern part of Congo, there is a lot of war and all those because of the gold and all those. We have so many, we are blessed. We are so blessed about minerals, you know. And because of that, there is a lot of poverty in that eastern part of Congo. So many are flee to come to look for a better life, because all of those things are not profit those people over there. And the people who are coming for the Western, like some of us, exceptionally, we are coming like education and, you know, to do something and then to get experience, then to go back. That's what I can say. I think that if Congo was in peace, in the eastern part of Congo, I'm not so sure you'll see so many Congolese in
Kenya.
Yeah.
So really it's the war situation.
Yeah, the war situation.
And the issue of minerals and poverty, maybe a bit of that. Okay. The issue of the Congolese in Kenya, you know, what do you see about them, especially with this East African community? I know that you've been very passionate about that. I've heard you talk once or twice. What do you see happening there? How do you see it as a opportunity for both the Kenyans and the Congolese?
Yeah, it's a good opportunity for us as a Congolese, because we'll be able to enter in Kenya without, you know, all the trouble of visa and all those.
Yes.
That's one of the best things, you know. People will be free to move in and out without that issue. And in another way, we'll be able, us as a Congolese, to learn. You know, as we are Francophone, and the way of seeing things are very different. We are very different. So we need like a country that will be able to, at least to father us, to teach us the way of Anglophone, to learn how they do things, because Francophone, they have a very, very completely different way of doing things. Here you say time is money. In Congo, they don't say time is money. They just enjoy.
Okay.
You say today is today, tomorrow does not belong to me. Let me enjoy today. You know, those kind of behavior, you know, those thoughts. And it's another opportunity for Kenya is to come to another country with like different culture. You know, when I came to Kenya, like people were drinking tea. Like when it's very hot, I was like, what? In this time, I don't, you know. And Congo, we have over 600 tribes.
Over 600 tribes?
Yes.
Wow.
So you have to come and learn the way you are staying together. And that issue of being so tribals in Congo is not that much, because me, I grew up in the city. I did not see that thing. All my friends, it was like in Kenya, I find myself, you know, those thing of people are grouping themselves according to the tribes. In Congo, I didn't really see that thing. In this particular moment, for us entering in East African community, it will be for us to learn, because we don't have something except our culture, except our music to sell. Yes, we can export sports, exactly, because Congolese are so passionate about sports.
Okay.
All sports, I'm telling you, all sports, they are so passionate, and they are doing quite very well. But the problem in Congo, we have some issue about infrastructure. That's our best problem. But we like sports more than Kenyans. You know, Kenyans is only Premier League, but us is when there is a football match, especially in Congo, you'll see people, even the transport, it's hard. No one is, everybody is got, you know, they are looking the TV to see the match. And Congolese are gifted. Sport, music, and whatever you want them to do, they'll do it. So they really know, Congolese, we know how to hustle. We really know how to hustle. You can find your way. You know, I was telling myself, you know, it was a joke actually.
Yeah.
Even if you send the Congolese in hell, he'll find that, he'll be friend with Satan, to find that, until
to find his way out.
Yes, to find his way until he get some position there.
Yes. Okay.
So we are so gifted about sport and all those.
And they know how to dress.
Dressing is like our lifestyle. It's our lifestyle. We like dressings, to look very good. Every day, somebody I can be broke, but if you look at me, you won't see that gap.
You won't see anything.
You won't see anything.
Looking, the word is on sapeur.
Yes, sapeur.
Sapeur. Okay, yes. That is somebody who's very well dressed.
Yeah, very well dressed.
Yes, yeah. Today you look like on sapeur. Excellent. Maybe as we wind up, what thoughts would you want to share? Your journey into Kenya has taught you some things that maybe you can share with. I know the people who watch this clip are not just Kenyans, even Congolese or from the French-speaking Africa. What would you just want to share, just as a way of encouragement, as a way of, I don't know, something that you feel you would really like to put out there so that people can know?
Yes, what I could say that is, Jesus said anything is possible. He didn't say anything is easy. So as a Congolese, we don't take things like nothing will be easy. Life is what it is. We need just to work hard to make our way. And I will encourage our people from Congo to learn from Kenya, to really take it like a good experience that we can bring back. There is so many, our population is over, like I can think now, 80 billion, I don't know.
80 million, yeah.
80 million. Over. I think, I don't trust those statistics, Those are politicians.
Those are politicians.
We know ourselves in Congo.
Okay.
What I can say, and I will encourage Congolese to work hard and to learn about Kenya, what they can take from Kenya and bring in Congo. And I will tell my people from Kenya, we have raw material. We need to learn for you. So it will be better if you accept us. As your brother from Africa. That could be my last words.
Excellent. Thank you. We have come to an end of today's edition. Remember, again, our focus is My Journey, Kingdom Dialogues, My Journey, and we are looking at the journeys that various people have had, especially transitioning to this nation. Those who've been following us on this journey realize each person's story is different. Some people, it was a prophetic word. Some people, they just came and it was circumstantial. Some were sent for education and they found themselves here and they ended up settling here. And we just want to thank God for the role that God has helped us as a nation to play. And I just want to encourage every one of us that let's continue to bless the nations. Let's continue to partner with what God is doing in these different nations, because that is part of our assignment as a nation. We also want to honor the French team. We also want to honor the brothers from Congo, even for the role that they are playing in Kenya and in East Africa in general. If you've been noticing what has been happening of late, there's been a lot of traffic between Kenya and the DRC. There are banks which are moving from Kenya to a DRC. Recently, airlines and flights are opening up in terms of the DRC. And I believe that God is beginning to bridge the gap between this nation and the DRC. And let's trust God that what God has ordained for these two nations will be established. The Lord bless you and keep you and cause the light of his countenance shine upon you and give you peace on every side. In Jesus' name, amen.